Okay. Welcome. So again, welcome to the second Wednesday Wellness from the Pacific Southwest MHTTC, Mental Health Technology Transfer Center. My name is Leora. I'm happy to see you. And I'm going to ask Michelle if you can advance the slide. Thanks. So I want to do a couple pieces where some of us are new to this whole Zoom world, although I should assume that in the last week, many of you have been on a million Zoom calls. Maybe we can just do like if you're on video, raise your hand if you've been on 3 or more Zoom calls today. Okay, okay. So if you haven't, that's pretty amazing. And if you have, we're with you in the Zombie land. We just want to do a little bit of an intro. So you'll see at the bottom that you'll be able to exit full screen and be able to do other things if you need to. You can also kind of change the way that you see the screen, 50%, 100. I'm on full screen right now. If you look at the bottom, you'll see that there's a chat box. That's how you can access where we're all putting our names and our roles and where we're calling in from. And that's also where all the resources are going to be. Michelle, if you can advance the slide, please. You'll also see that there's a button called Participants. If you click on that button, you'll actually see yourself and everyone in the chat box. And you'll see who is muted, which is everyone but myself right now. You can also hover over your name and then click rename and then be able to put your role, pronouns, how you're feeling today. So I'm actually going to just see if everyone can, I'm going to invite everyone to play with that. So if you can hover over your name and click rename and either put your role or anything else that you'd like to put. Could be like ice cream, bucket of ice cream that you would like to eat right now in this moment. Okay, so I see some folks are clicking away. Welcome, welcome. If you're joining us, we are playing with participants. If we're clicking the participant button and we are renaming ourselves so that we can all see that we are getting to know Zoom a little bit better. Okay, so Michelle just put in that she's from the Meaning Makers Collective. Some of you wanted to put in your favorite ice cream and some of you did not, and that is also okay. So I just wanted to alert you of that rename function. It's really helpful, especially when we are staring at the screen a lot. So let's move forward, Michelle. Great. You can also raise your hand or you can asterisk in the chat box if you have a question, but I will say that the most helpful way right now is that we're going to kind of go through the conversation and then at the end we'll be able to resource one another. So that comes when you click participant. You can raise your hand. And let's move forward. Okay, great. So again, as I said earlier, welcome. My name is Leora, she, hers. I live in Los Angeles. I am the Pacific Southwest Mental Health Technology Transfer Center School Mental Health Lead. We're going to take a little bit of time introducing you to our center, and then we're going to hand it over to our partners at the Meaning Makers Collective, an incredible organization that supports educators and partner organizations in their meaning making, which is one of the most fundamental aspects of healing and regulation for us as humans in this world. So let's move forward, Michelle. Thank you. So of course I have to note that we're funded by SAMHSA, and while this is of course supported by SAMHSA, it doesn't reflect everything of SAMHSA. Disclaimer. And next. Okay, so lots of tiny font. The most important piece that I want to lift up is that we, out of the Pacific Southwest, we support the U.S. Pacific Islands, Hawaii, California, Arizona, and Nevada. And we know that we have many colleagues on the line today from Texas and Virginia and South Carolina and Oregon, and the list goes on. I saw New Mexico. And so our region is open to not only just the states in our region, but also, of course, all of you, even though we do have a priority focus in our region. So every single person on this call has their regional MHTTC, their Mental Health Technology Transfer Center. And we are funded by SAMHSA. We're all in our second year to support no to low cost mental health technical assistance, which does not mean in this case that we can help you figure out Zoom, although I guess we also can. It really means professional development. So webinars, newsletters, publications, issue briefs, And all of us right now are really busy trying to figure out how to best support you in the field. And this Wellness Wednesday was our region's offering to support you right now. So please feel free to contact us. You'll get our contact information at the end, but we're going to have a lot of things coming out. But we just want you to know, like, we're here for you, and this is the map. And if you have a desire to be connected with your regional MHTTC, if I am not it, we're happy to connect you. Next slide. Okay, so again, as I said, our main task is to support the mental health workforce. We also have a school mental health workforce initiative, which I lead, and we have two foci. One stream is on school mental health literacy and leadership. So how do we support educators and school mental health professionals to really find interdependence and to get together in order to support the students that they serve? So that comes through trauma-informed policy. It comes from learning about the National School Mental Health Curriculum. It comes through talking about evidence-based practices and community-defined evidence-based practices. That's stream one. And stream two is our theme of crisis readiness, response, recovery, and renewal. So this was before the pandemic and before the time that we're sitting in, because we know that there was a lot of harm and hurt and healing needed even before this happened. So our stream was really thinking about prevention, intervention, and postvention. And we have a couple offerings that are going to be in that track coming up, not only for the now, but for the always. Let's move forward. I am not going to talk so much about this. This is what we do. Let's move forward. Okay, great. So this is the purpose of today. The purpose of today is to really ground us in a conversation about what wellness is and can be for us, and also to really kind of take on or try on some potential settling practices for our own body's regulation, to do some integration and reflection, and then to lift up some needs and wants and resources and supports. So I just want to name that we say in our trainings that whoever was in the conversation needed to be in the conversation, and what was said needed to be said. We kind of hold this space as exactly what it was meant to be for the hour that we're together. And if you left feeling like, I really would like a conversation about this, or I'm needing a specific support about that, please let us know in the chat box or afterwards so that we can support you. Let's move forward. Okay, I'm going to take a breath. I want to offer, and for those of you who were on last week, I want to offer that the following hats might kind of help you navigate your learning during this time together. The first is that some of us are going to be entering this conversation for ourselves, like the Leora. Some of us are going to be entering this conversation in our work role. You know, I'm going to support my team, I support my colleagues, I'm supporting XYZ. And some of us are actually going to be taking on the hat as facilitator, kind of watching the way that we talk about the work and introduce the work. So any of those hats are available to you, meaning that if you were on last week, I just want to invite you, different day, different context, new things are happening all the time, and different body. So the same information might be presented, but we might receive it differently. All that to say, I want to read out a quote from our teacher, Parker Palmer, who offers this. Self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift I have, the gift I was put on earth to offer others. Anytime we can listen to true self and give the care it requires, we do it not only for ourselves, but for the many others whose lives we touch. So this next couple minutes together is an invitation for us to do some true listening to our true selves. I'm going to ask us to move forward. Okay. With that said, I'm going to transition it to Judy and to Michelle, our dear colleagues at the Meaning Makers Collective, and I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you, Leora. Can you hear me? Thumbs up so I could, okay, great. Good to be back here, everyone. If you're returning, good to see you. And if you're new, welcome. Happy to be here and happy to be in partnership and to provide some insight and some support and maybe some expansion of your capacity to really embody some wellness practices today that can really help with regulating your nervous system. So yeah, good to be here. And just to share a little bit about myself, You might have already not Googled, but looked us up online. Our webpage is meaningmakerscollective.com, and you might have gotten to that through the registration link. And so if you have, you'll learn a little bit more about our services there and my life a little bit more. But will share here that, I've been in this work in the education field for over 15 years, primarily working with students that are low income, under-resourced communities, students in high levels of crises with high levels of adversity and childhood trauma. And I've learned a whole lot in those, in those years. Experience has taught me a whole lot of things, very memorable things that I can think of with my students. I think my biggest takeaway and why this work is relevant now and why Meaning Makers Collective is my current, proyecto de vida, my current life project, is that it really taught me about the care that adults in schools, that the people that work in schools need to really sustain this work and to be a better service to the students that they're servicing. And so for us, what that really means is that we believe that a whole and healthy, balanced adult is really the best intervention for student success. It's not more intervention after school or more, academic intervention throughout the day or maybe in behavioral plans all the time, but it really is when we're able to resource our staff and the folks that work at schools, the better, more prepared we are to be of service of the needs that the students have and the families that we work with. So with that, we really are grounded in principles that are trauma-informed and culturally responsive in our work. And we really seek to provide a sense of prioritizing well-being at schools and school systems for all employees. I'm just happy to be doing this work. And my co-partner, my co-founder is Michelle, which she'll introduce herself. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be back here, and nice to see those of you who are here for the first time. Judy kind of covered it, but I just wanted to mention that as the world changes in these times that are first times for many of us, maybe for all of us, we are adapting our work so that we can provide distance learning opportunities, so that we can provide these virtual opportunities to gather, to connect. And so please stay in touch with us if these are the kinds of things that you're interested in or that the place you work might be interested in. So I'm going to move us ahead. Our purpose for today is threefold, really, to first and foremost and always to slow down, to listen to our bodies, and to connect to one another in mindful ways. We're learning new ways to do that over the internet, and so we appreciate you all here practicing with us. The other purpose is that we want to focus on self-care and self-regulation as practices that obviously benefit us as individuals, but really allow us to also serve others and be really present for others. So recognizing that what we're doing here today is both about self-care and about collective care. And then the third piece of the purpose is to surface the needs that are in the field right now. And right now it might be different than last week, and it might be different next week as well. So really encouraging folks to use the interactive, the chat box and those features, and being in touch with us to communicate what your needs are in your context as we go.
And to get us to do a little bit of that, moving our fingers, stretching them and using that chat, we wanted to do a roll call. We did this last time. So if you're familiar with it, what it is we're going to call up maybe a potential role that you might be holding right now in your workplace. And when you see that, we'll ask you to place a symbol inside the chat box just to see who's present. Okay, so we're going to do roll call. It reminds me of Power 106 on the radio if you're from LA. And we're going to check who's on the line, okay? So if you're a teacher, if you identify as a teacher here, can you put a hashtag in the chat box, please? Hello, Charisse, I see you. Okay. The next one is if you are a principal or an AP in the field, please add an @ sign to the chat box. Welcome. Okay. If you're a school counselor, put a percentage notation on the chat box there. Whoa, a lot of counselors. Awesome. Okay, if you're a school psychologist and a social worker or a social worker, put a money sign there. Woo! A lot of money signs. Great. Welcome, everyone. And if you're a district administrator, sit in the central offices, please put a plus sign. Welcome. Great. Ooh, I see someone that's both. I see a couple of notations there. Great. And if you're a behavioral health partner agency, yeah, put an exclamation mark there. And welcome to you all. Thank you. Thank you for doing all of this. Welcome. And then lastly, if I didn't call you out in this roll call by role, please type in there what role, what type of role are you in so that we can make sure to include everyone that's on here right now. Youth prevention. Hello and thank you. MTSS, SEL specialist, hey. A lot of different types of counselors, restorative practices, mental health supervisors, school-based therapists, prevention, welcome, special education, hello. Great. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Good to see you all again. Yeah, and let's dive in. Let's jump in and kind of, yeah, expand our capacity for this moment. I think Leora already mentioned it, you know, and so did Michelle. Every week is different. At this point, every day is different, and we're feeling quite differently every single day. And so it's important to remember that as we're trying to check in with wellness and create a container for the next couple of, you know, like 40 minutes or so, that we really focus on wellness as a practice, that it's not a product that we're trying to achieve, but that it requires practice. And every day, sometimes it's great and strong, and other days it's a little bit more taxing and challenging, and that is all okay. One of the things that we also like to know at the Meaning Makers is that every single person is really the one expert in defining what wellness is to you, and that it's interlayered with your racial and social identity and with your community and with the type of body that you have and what you're able to do and with your body. And so that really the expert of when we were trying to figure out what's a definition, I think coming up with a definition can be very exclusive of other people's experience. And so for us, really wellness, it's about you being the expert of your own body and really trying to stay in a place of curiosity of what might your body need in any given moment, and where might you be able to resource some support so that you can really fulfill the needs that your body may be having. And by body, I mean your mind and your body, kind of like the whole holistic approach to our well-being. And so I want you to stay in that place of curiosity as we get into a wellness check-in in a couple of moments to see what's going on today. I will say that I wanted to just kind of shout out or mention Name It to Tame It, which I discussed last time, that today is the first of the month. And for a lot of people, a lot of the communities that we serve, a lot of our students, even ourselves, you know, making rent today was maybe a little bit more challenging. Or if you have a mortgage, you know, that might have caused an extra amount of stress and worry. And so I really wanted to name that to tame that, because it's a hard day. Is it April Fool's Day? Is the first April Fool's? There's that layer. I don't know, missing a lot of like the things we did at work and, you know, the joy. So just wanted to name that as we move forward with this, and just remind you that everything we do is invitational. So if at any moment you want to, turn off your screen, your video, to take a moment to breathe or drink some water, to stretch, this is really the moment to take care of yourself and whatever feels right for your body. So let's dive into the multi-dimensions of well-being. We referenced this last time as well. It's a model that was created and brought to us by SAMHSA. And it really, for ourselves, for our work, expanded kind of the notion of, well, what wellness can be like, or how do we hold different wellness spaces in our lives. And I did mention last time, and I'll say it again, that for me, when I was first taught about the word wellness, or when I was trying to kind of jump into what does it mean to be well, I felt that it was really exclusionary of like my holistic life, and it was really focused on the circle of like physical well-being, that it was simply I was taught that it was kind of like, and I taught at school, right, that it was about my diet, what I eat, how often I ate, and also how my body looked, and what, you know, and like kind of fitness and working out. And so what the multidimensional kind of framework that SAMHSA, you know, provides us here is to stretch that. It's to stretch that ability to think that wellness really has an effect and a role in many aspects of our life, and that really when we are able to balance, have a sense of balance in these other spaces, we can cultivate a sense of kind of nervous system regulation and a deeper sense of safety. So definitely wanted to mention that. I also mentioned last time, I'm a Spanish speaker, daughter of Mexican immigrants. And so I know for me, a lot of these domains, depending on my racial and positionality, my identity, have a deeper impact in my daily life than some other ones, and that's okay. The idea is not that they all have to be in balance all the time and fully kind of resource, but that, you know, some are more important than others at any given time in context, and that's okay. So having said that, and I know that you received, there was a link that you have a handout for this, that we're going to do a little bit of a wellness check-in practice that we did yesterday, last week, because we're in a different place. What a difference a week does, and here we are. So to do this kind of check-in with yourself and your body, I want to invite you to get a piece of paper if you don't have one already, or maybe some Post-it notes. And if you don't have that, that's okay. We could just kind of get guided through this to do some reflection of checking in with your actual body and mind and spirit. And so what I'll do is I'll just kind of guide you through the questions and create some space there so that you could have some time to reflect. And again, this is all invitational, whatever feels comfortable for you. Okay, so maybe stretch a little bit, move your neck around a little bit, do whatever you need to do to be able to kind of get a little bit more into your body in this moment, if that feels comfortable. All right, so let's start with the reflection of, in this kind of multidimensional aspect of well-being, in this wheel, which part or which dimension here might be feeling fulfilled? What are you feeling really, really like strong in right now and really kind of nourished and accomplished in? And then as you're scanning the wheel, think about what area or areas are feeling a little bit more taxed today, this April 1st. Where are you having a little bit more challenges or added stressors? Judy, can you read them out loud? Sure, I'm sorry. Yeah, the screen's a little tiny, huh? Okay, so the different dimension titles are, it's going to be your emotional well-being, your financial well-being, social, spiritual, occupational, physical, intellectual, and environmental. And the font right under it is a little smaller. I can't see it right now, but you might be able to see it in the handout, I believe. And if not, let me know if you need me to be more specific about it, okay? Yeah. All right, so after you reflected a little bit of what's really feeling fulfilled in your life right now and what might be a little bit taxed, I want you to think about what are the signs that are telling you that you're feeling taxed or fulfilled in these areas. So what might be going on in your body or in your mind and in your spirit that's kind of giving you an indication that this is feeling really good right now versus this is not feeling as great. I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm feeling high levels of stress in these areas. Again, emotional, financial, social, spiritual, occupational, physical, intellectual, and environmental. Okay. And as you're thinking about that, I wonder if you could think about the past and think about when you felt this way before, when these feelings were up and present, and what helped you feel better. So what helped, especially in the area where you might be feeling a little bit extra taxed or stressed, what helped to bring you to a place of ease or a little bit more balance? You know, and I did want to mention here that it's important to note that, you know, I'm assuming that most folks' basic needs are met. And, you know, that's a big assumption because that's not always the case, right? And so when we know that when the need for food, rest, shelter are not being met, it's really, really hard to have balance or an area to reflect in some of these other, you know, spaces in our lives. So I want to note that because that could be, you know, really challenging. And so it's important to name that. Okay. You could go on to the next slide. Thank you. When you think about your life and your support system, maybe it's just one other person or a group of folks, who might be able to support you in this area? So if something's really up for you in the physical dimension or intellectual or social, spiritual, what are some folks in your lives that can really support you with this? And as you're thinking about that person or group of people or, you know, places or even, you know, organizations like the Pacific Southwest, it might be hard to name. And so I want to say that too. It's really hard. I think so many of us and our friends and family members and our usual support system are feeling quite taxed and overwhelmed themselves. So, you know, there might be a sense of like worry or shame that comes up with like, oh my God, I don't want to think of someone because I know they're going through a hard time. But just mentioning that or noticing that I think is important so that you are reminded that you're not alone and that in fact all of us are really experiencing heightened levels of, you know, dysregulation and stress, and so that's okay too. Okay. And kind of like in this kind of wrap up for this wellness check-in with your body and mind, what was this practice like for you? To slow down, to go fast. I think it's a saying that we often use with Michelle. I forgot where I learned it, but the saying of it's so important to go slow, to go fast, to just calm down and to kind of check in. So what was this practice like for you? How is it feeling? Or was there some new learning that came out of like just taking the time to check in with yourself? And as you're thinking about that, and if you wanted to share or contribute, feel free to kind of pause and connect and reflect here in the chat box. What was this practice of checking in like for you? Was this something that was useful and helpful? Did it create a little bit more stress or anxiety to get settled into the body? So if you feel like sharing, if you're comfortable sharing, please use the chat box there so that we could see how this was like. Okay, so it felt like the first moment today that I felt a sense of calm. It was helpful, good to focus, not just on stressors, but on the positive. Yeah, there is a lot of good that's still happening and we're thankful for. Useful, helpful. It was good for me to help ground me. It's the second time. You really enjoyed it. You loved it. It was really helpful. Thank you. I mean, really what we hope with these Wellness Wednesdays is that, yeah, we could provide a little tool that can be helpful for you, something that you can, again, use every day to check in with yourself. It doesn't have to be those series of questions that you have there on the handout. It could just be one, something to reflect on. It could definitely be something that you might integrate into your Zoom meetings. I know a lot of you are having other Zoom meetings with colleagues and groups that you sit in. So this might be, you know, one of the questions you could be asking other folks. So feel free to use it as you feel comfortable. And I noticed some people are missing some physical movement. Yeah, I think super important. Earlier with Leora, we were discussing the importance of workplaces really having a day off the computer throughout the week, you know, or even if it's a couple of hours, if people could say, hey, everyone can have some independent time to just integrate so much of the stuff that's happening online. So I agree. I think physical movement and walking up and stretching and getting away from the computer can be really helpful. Great. Okay. Michelle, how is this for you? I know that you're managing the slides, but how are you feeling?
Yeah, it was helpful. Even to the space to just think about the questions was really helpful. And this will kind of help transition into the next piece. But sometimes when we take the time, or when I take the time to slow down and think about where the comfort and discomfort are, I notice things happening in my body or in my emotions or my mind that I didn't notice before. Some positive, some not so comfortable. So we wanted to offer, like we did last week, and offering it again this week, just a model to think about what's happening in our bodies and our emotions when we start to feel those the effects of the stressors in our lives. And one helpful way to think about this is the concept of the window of tolerance. So as we go into talking about settling, Leora mentioned it earlier, Judy's mentioned it, settling our nervous system. What we're really referring to is how do we move from the very understandable ways that we might be feeling activated right now and throughout our lives. How do we move from those senses of activation, either kind of hyper aroused, vigilant, feeling kind of a lack of safety? How do we move from that towards our window of tolerance? And really the window of tolerance can be thought about as that state in our nervous system when we're able to think and feel at the same time, where we're able to feel responsive rather than reactive, where we're capable of sensing our own needs for emotional and physical boundaries and also sensing other people's needs. And so this window of tolerance is not fixed. It's really important to note that what creates those boundaries has so much to do with not only our personal life experiences, but the context of the current moment. So in certain aspects of our life or spaces where we might feel a lot of safety, a lot of support, our window might be a little bigger. And in other moments or spaces in our lives where those things aren't quite as available, we might feel our window crunching a little bit. So as you look at this model and as you kind of reflect on the factors that are going on in your own life right now, I'm wondering if you can sense your window or sense where you are in relation to your window at this moment. And that can just be a personal reflection. Of course, you're free to share in the chat as well. But just taking a moment to sense, can you sense your own window of tolerance and whether that's feeling contracted in this moment, or even it's possible that it's feeling more expanded as well. Yeah, so just noticing where that is for you right now. And as we move forward, I wanted to mention that similar to what Judy said about wellness, this concept of self-care can have the potential to feel quite exclusive, quite limiting if we're thinking about self-care as something like going to the spa or, spending hours cooking yourself your favorite meal, or things like this that may be accessible to some of us, may not be to others, and different at different times. They can create this idea of self-care as something that I can't always do. And what we want to offer is that settling our nervous system, the smallest bit, small ways that we can come back into our window of tolerance or near it, or allow ourselves to spend more time there, all of that is included in this concept of self-care. And it might even be the most important type of self-care. So I'm going to skip through a couple of these slides, noting that they are in the handouts that you got. And if folks are interested in going deeper into understanding the nervous system and our stress response, that's definitely something that we'd love to do with you. So feel free to reach out and give us that feedback as we go. But for today, we're going to offer some new settling practices. So last week we worked with the breath a little bit. And this week we're going to offer a couple new strategies and tools and see if those work for you. So I'm just going to preview what we're going to do. the first piece is that we'll invite you to observe yourself in this moment. So thinking about that window of tolerance and taking a moment to observe where you are, where you might be right now in relation to your window. Are you in it? Feeling that ability to think and feel at the same time, feeling present? Are you maybe a little above it, feeling kind of hypervigilant? Maybe your heart's beating quickly. Or maybe you're below the window, feeling a little tired or lethargic, maybe a little hard to focus. So just noticing wherever you are and knowing that where you are in this moment is okay. Noticing if that feeling is pleasant or unpleasant, and if you'd prefer to add more energy to it, if that would feel good, or if it would feel good to release some energy from that feeling. In a moment, I'm going to offer a couple tools or strategies to see if that might help move towards the window of tolerance, or if you're in your window, if it'll feel good and help you stay there. I want to name and be really, really clear about this point, that if at any point anything we're doing causes more discomfort, or you feel that activation start to rise, know that you can stop at any time. A lot of us live in contexts where we are conditioned to push through our stopping signals, and maybe we don't even hear what those stopping signals are. And so I really want to invite you that this is a time to practice stopping if you're feeling more uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And after we use the tool or strategy, we're going to check back in with ourselves and notice, has anything shifted? And it's really just a noticing, really practicing a non-judgmental attitude. It's a noticing if anything's shifted, and if it has, how do you know? What's telling you that something's shifted? All right. So I want to name that the practices that we're sharing here today have come to me, at least, through Lumos Transforms and the Resilience Toolkit. And in the resource page you'll get at the end, you'll see some offerings that they're making available now during this time, this pandemic time. And they're offering some really beautiful sessions to go deeper into our nervous system and into some of these settling practices. So I highly recommend checking that out. They have a lot of, these resources are free for the most part right now. So today we're going to practice, if you're into it, we're going to practice something called the butterfly hug, and I'm going to demonstrate it first so that you can watch and see if it's something that you feel like you might want to try. So the goal of the butterfly hug is to access a kind of rhythmic alternating movement. It's one of these practices that involves crossing the midline of our body, which has shown to have a lot of helpful effects on settling our nervous system, increasing a sense of presence, all of these things. So this is what it looks like. You might take your hands and cross them at the wrists, and then link your thumbs together, kind of like the body of a butterfly. And then you'll land the butterfly right on your chest with your fingers pointing up right under your collarbone. And just one by one, alternate the tapping of your fingers. And as you feel it out, you might want to move faster. You might want to increase or decrease the pressure that you're giving, or you might want to slow it way down. And the point is just to notice what feels good for you. Again, knowing that at any point you can stop if that's not feeling good for you. And you might experiment with slowing down your breath as you tap. So just taking a moment to try that, if that seems like something you want to do. Noticing that the pace can shift, how fast or slow you're tapping, and the pressure can shift, how hard or soft you're tapping. Just giving folks a moment to try that or to think about it. Yeah, and then as you come back to us here, noticing if anything has shifted. And then noticing how do you know? How do you know that something has shifted? Maybe your breath has changed. Maybe it's gotten deeper or more shallow. Maybe some part of your body, your shoulders settled, or something feels more relaxed. Maybe you feel a different temperature now than when you started. Someone's heart rate slowed down. Yeah. So just an invitation. And I wanted to name that the butterfly hug can be something that maybe you feel is like a little more geared towards children. I personally don't. I love it, but some people have given that feedback. So this can be a wonderful thing to offer to the children in your life, particularly those that may be physically around you right now, and an opportunity to co-regulate, to work on bringing your nervous systems into that window of tolerance together. And just a slight variation on the butterfly hug. It's very similar, same concept, crossing the midline of the body and alternate and rhythmic tapping, except you just do it on your knees. So I know people can't really see my knees right now, and that actually makes this a really wonderful one to use during your Zoom calls because no one can see you doing it. So if you're finding the need to, if this worked for you and you find the need to settle your nervous system during one of these calls, you can take your hands, cross them just like you did before, and place them on your knees and alternate tapping there. Again, I just felt my breath settle, deepen, noticing if there's any shifts and noticing how you notice. So I'm just taking a look at the chat, seeing some people, having a nurturing experience. The shoulders are relaxing. These are all possibilities of what might happen in your body. So we'll take a more official moment to pause and reflect. Did you notice any shifts in your mind and your body from practicing the butterfly hug and knee tapping? And if so, feel free to type those in the chat. If not, you can keep it to yourself. Just reflect on it. Like being patted and safe. It's calming. Yeah, self-soothing. So I'm noticing in the comments that for those of you that experience this as soothing or calming or relaxing, just really naming for yourself that this is a form of self-care, right? And if this movement was not that for you, there may be other things out there that can be as simple and also serve as self-care. Great. All right. Judy, how is that for you? How are you feeling?
I'm definitely feeling much more relaxed. I tend to be one of these people, maybe it's the fact that I'm an Aries. I don't know, how you feel about astrology, but that like, I don't like new things or things that seem weird or something that's not new. And I just remind myself it's a practice and that I should try it. And when I actually did in this moment, it helped me deepen my breath, just like you said. I catch myself realizing like I get stuck in my breath just up here, like very short, labored breath versus like deepening it. And the minute I do that, and it's, the science is there to prove it, and my experience has taught me that it makes me feel better. I tend to resist a lot, but when I finally do, it was really, really useful. So wanted to name that, to tame that in my own experience. So thank you for sharing it, Michelle. Really, really helpful. And so, I wanted to kind of spend some time here with some integration of what we've done in the last couple of minutes. I would say those 20 minutes go by so quickly. Anyway, so just kind of integrating and some reflection here. You could write it down or just think about it. I wonder in today's share, this April 1st, if there was 3 areas of wellness that you wanted to pay some closer attention to. So in the 8 dimensions of wellness on that wheel, is there any 3 that you notice, this week between now, hopefully, and next time we see each other next Wednesday, might there be 3 areas you want to pay a little extra attention to, whether it's to relieve some of that stress or, taxing feelings, or maybe it's to celebrate and to nurture the ones that you are already feeling quite strong in. So think about that, some three dimensions there. Then think about 2 things that you felt in your body during these settling practices. So maybe jot down a word or 2 about what you felt in your body doing the butterfly hands. I know one thing I did 1 butterfly wing and I was tapping that. If you have problem crossing your thumbs there, I did that. So what might you have felt from the butterfly hug? What did you feel with the knee tapping? Was it difficult to kind of cross your meridian and tap this way? I'm wondering if just tapping, what it made you feel. So maybe just thinking about that to cultivate that feeling when you need it. And then last, might there be a question that you still have? Or was there a need that going through this kind of wellness check-in with yourself today came up for you? Like, I really want to do X, Y, and Z once I jump off this call or I'm done with my workday. So was there a question that you had or a need that came up for you? Think about that as you integrate. And if you feel comfortable and want to share a question or your need, feel free to share your one on the chat box as well. And again, we're here to try to resource each other and support each other as we need to. Sometimes it just feels good to affirm it, to say it, to name it, to tame it. So that's what the chat is helpful for too, if you feel like sharing that there. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. A lot of thank yous. Thank you. Thank you. And really, thank you for choosing to join us on another Zoom call. I know that it could be taxing for sure if you've been on many to be like, oh, I know this is for my wellness, but it's still Zoom. So I just really appreciate having you here and just taking the time to practice some of these settling practices. So the 3 takeaways that, as usual, we hope that you walk away with thinking about and, making some meaning around. We're called the Meaning Makers Collective, and we like to do these type of activities of like, what did this all mean in this moment right now? So the 3 takeaways we're offering is that settling your nervous system is self-care. Kind of what Michelle said. Don't consume yourself or overwhelm yourself with like all the things I need to do to take care of myself. It's simply just settling your nervous system is caring for yourself, and that when you're able to do that, when you're able to be balanced or a lot more whole or healthy, that perhaps that's the best way you can show up for others in your life right now. The second thing is that there's many aspects to wellness. It's not just one dimensional. There's multi-dimensions. We offered SAMHSA's 8 dimensions. There's even more dimensions than that. You're defining really wellness for yourself. You're the expert of your body and what you might need. And that it's okay to focus on just one thing that might be taxing you or one thing that's doing great, that it's all a practice and you don't need to get it perfect. It's not a product that you're needing to get to. And then the third thing is that it's a journey and that we need each other, that when we connect with others, that this helps us co-regulate to make meaning of the current moment we're experiencing with this pandemic, this new way of learning, all the frustrations, all the good things that are coming out of doing things new, the transformative things that are, being birthed out of this experience, but that we can do it together and that's important to always hold for collective care. So yeah, I hope that you can, take that with you. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Judy. So as we move towards the close, Leora has a few things that she'll be sharing right at the end. But I'll just invite folks that are with us to take a moment and think about one word out of the many words that can describe your experience in this session today. Your word could be about a response to the content that we shared, or it could just be about an emotion that was evoked. And just put that in the chat. We'll read some of them. Refreshed, reminded, yes. We know these things. It's a lot of remembering what we already know. Mm-hmm. Understood, breathing, thoughtful, supported, wonderful. Some new insight and self-awareness. People are feeling excited to share with others in their lives, which is beautiful. Relaxed, supported. Unselfish. Yes. Yeah. Well, please go ahead and keep sharing your words in the chat. And I'm going to pass this back to Leora.
Thanks, Michelle. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Michelle? Okay, great. Chillin'. Yes, Morgan, I'm with you. We're so grateful to all of you and to the Meaning Makers Collective. I want to say a couple things and offer before we close. The first is that we know that self-care practices will not take care of all the things that we're navigating. Self-care helps us regulate both our thoughts and our feelings so we can do the social justice work, both the prevention, intervention, and postvention to make this world right. So self-care is the avenue and is the tool for justice work. And many of us came into this world because we are here to support the idea that schools can be the platform for healing. And now our schools are in many different places. And so we're grateful to be in a virtual community with all of you. We're grateful that you're taking the courageous and brave time, because many of us are not necessarily allowed the time to settle, so that we make the justice-oriented decisions and the justice-oriented feelings that we need to support those that we love. So with that, I want to offer that we're moving into this, we're kind of still swimming in this collective vulnerability space. And I'm just letting Brené's quote kind of sit on the screen right now. We're really sitting in this space, and I'm naming this as the school mental health lead right now, of really wanting to balance creating the what for all of you, school telemental health and evidence-based practices and interconnected systems framework and digital learning spaces and facilitate like all the what, and at the exact same time offer space to ground us and again remember that we're human in this work and in this world. So we're grateful to all of you again, especially to the Meaning Makers Collective. I'm going to just read the last line of Brené Brown's sentence. She says, and let's choose each other. Let's choose each other. Let's choose not only to be in reactive and in responsive, but also in renewal and in reconnection and in reminding. The Meeting Makers information is up. We're going to be emailing you with the deck from last week and this week. And we're also back next week with another offering. I want to be clear that we are kind of experimenting with this whole thing, Wellness Wednesdays, and that we're actually thinking of offering them through the month of April. So if you want to put in the chat box like a star, if you're interested in that, every Wednesday there's a new tool and a new, oh, Daisy, okay, yes, star, star, star. Great, great, great. We will respond to you. So that is what we'll do. We'll provide this space for you, absolutely. And we're actually going to stay on, Michelle and Judy, I'm going to say this. I'm going to ask the three of us to stay on maybe 5 or 8 minutes after we close. If you have specific needs or questions about your own experience or integrating it where you work, and we're going to continue to hold space for each other and hold space with each other. In order to do that work, we do need you. This is where the SAMHSA grant funding comes in. We do need you to fill out a Survey Monkey, and it's very quick. It's to help us continue our funding and to help us do this work. So I'm going to put the link in the chat box. It's also up on your screen. It will also come to you in your email. And all that said, please, the moment that you registered, you became part of our newsletter distribution. So there's lots of goodies coming your way. Again, there's lots of whats and lots of hows. And we're really committed to also reminding us of the whys. There are really lovely, thank you, Michelle, really lovely kind of like cookie dough goodies in the resources and supports page. So please check them out. Lots of good follow-up. And we're gonna kind of close here officially with thank you to Judy and Michelle. And also just kind of give the next 4 minutes, 5 minutes, however long it feels. So you can sign off, or you can put in the chat box specific asks that you have in this time, specifically if you're from our region, or questions or resources for each other. So we're going to kind of just move into a little bit of a hangout situation. And feel free if you want to unmute yourself Natalie Mint Chip, we're so glad that you think it was fantastic. And we're grateful to be in community. Thank you so much. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. I feel like I want to do
Thanks, everybody.
butterfly thank yous.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll stay. Michelle, if you can actually move the slide back to where it has the survey link on it in case people want to find that. I think it's the one right before. Yep, cool. Thank you. So again, if you want to unmute yourself and hang out with us, you're welcome to. We'll stay on for the next 5-6 minutes-ish until we see the numbers dwindle. Tawan, it was great to hang out with you. Thanks for being here. Thank you. I read your lips. Yes.
Thank you.
Erin, who do you have with you?
This is Joe.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for hanging out.
Hi. We didn't make it past nap time. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Erin. Lisa, you have a question.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to say thank you. I enjoyed that very much. And I think we might be reaching out to you.
Okay, Lisa, remind me where you're.
Great.
I'm from Houston with the Education Service Center. There's several of our partners that are on here. We had about 4 other people on. So we all enjoyed it. So we might be reaching out to you. Thank you.
Lisa, you're based, you're connected to Michelle, right? Michelle Monk?
Yes. I haven't met her, but my colleagues are working with her on a project. Yes.
Me for your region.
Okay. That's what I heard. I haven't met her, so I'm looking forward to meeting her.
Wonderful. You can feel free to reach out to Judy and Michelle separately or also through me, Michelle, that they can be together or separate.
Okay, great. Thank you. We
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
That's it.
On in the
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Oh, the link to the survey says it cannot be found. That's interesting. Carrie, do you have help with that? Oh, Deborah says it works. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try to put it again in the chat box. Okay.
It works when you access it from the chat box.
Okay. I see.
I did have a question. I noticed that you guys are recording and I have a lot of colleagues. This is Christina Chavez and I'm a behavioral health therapist with Bakersfield City School District.
Bakersfield. Yeah.
Oh.
So we have been having Zoom meetings regularly with our ERMS department, which is our educationally related mental health services. And I loved today's offering and was wondering, since you guys are recording it, is this something I can share with my colleagues that they can watch, or is it just the slides that I can forward to them?
You can do either, and you can also hook up with Michelle and Judy and bring them to Bakersfield. That'd be my
Virtually for now.
That'd be awesome.
But yes.
We actually were talking about, we just had a Zoom meeting prior to this, and we were talking about possibly offering a group after spring break for teachers, because we have a lot of teachers who are feeling disconnected. Some of them are literally socially isolated in that they're the only ones in their home. And we also talked about having a group for families as well, you know, parents, and just not so much of a therapeutic group. It would be a group that maybe was facilitated by an ERMS therapist and a school psychologist, just more of like a support group and connecting and coming together. But this is definitely great information, and in this type of format for them would be beneficial, I believe.
We agree. Yeah, I think we could definitely, jump on a call if you have some space and time between the next couple of days. Michelle and I would be happy to jump on a call with you and explore what that can look like for your staff, for the folks that you work with. It's definitely something that we're doing with some of our other clients. So yeah, we'd be happy to support. And we also do work with families and workshops with parents. So so we're familiar with engaging then.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Christina.